Welcome. We'll get started shortly. Before we begin, here's how to earn continuing professional education credit for attending this session. There are no polling questions or attendance checks. Instead, you will demonstrate your knowledge by taking a brief multiple-choice quiz using the Earmark app. Visit earmark.app in your web browser. You can also download the mobile app by scanning the QR code on the screen. Log in, or if you're new, create your free account. Be sure to use a valid email address because that's where we'll send your course completion certificates. From the home screen, scroll down to find the course. You can also tap the magnifying glass icon to search for the course. Tap on the course artwork, then the Enroll button. On the Course tab, you'll find the recording and quiz questions. Complete the quiz to earn your CPE certificate. It takes us a few days to create the course on the app, so if you are attending this session live, please wait a few days. We'll email you a link to the course when it is ready. If you have questions or need help, email us at support@earmarkcpe.com. And now, on to the event. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Earmark Expo. I am Blake Oliver, and this is where we take accounting technology for a test drive. David, Leary, and I are going to floor it with a live demo of a game-changing app. We'll be in the driver's seat, putting the app through its paces and asking the tough questions every accountant wants to know. And guess what? You get to ride shotgun with us. And we want you, our live audience, if you're joining us live, to help us navigate. You can ask your own questions through the chat, and we will highlight them for Jason to answer. It's your chance to see cutting-edge accounting tech in action, get your questions answered in real time, and gain insights that could transform your practice. So take a seat and let's roll with today's Earmark Expo. And my co-host, as always, David Leary.
Hey, Blake, I don't know if you remember this or not, or if you even know this. We have an e-commerce store.
We do, yes.
We do. And it's a TeePublic store, and listeners could buy the accounting podcast merch. But really, we haven't touched it in a very long time, so it's the place to buy vintage cloud accounting podcast shirts, really, is what you use it for. But somehow the money from that e-commerce store gets into a PayPal account, like kind of a neglected PayPal account. And I think we make money for two different things. Like one is designer earnings. So these are like our designs, the shirts we designed and sold. But then we get partner earnings. So if somebody comes in through our store but goes to a different store and buys a dinosaur t-shirt, we get some of that action too. And then I think we double dip if they go to our store and buy from our store. It's a little confusing. And I used to, back in the day, try to track these separately, these commissions, by using the bank feeds connected to PayPal. And then it was a nuisance, so I gave up. And then I decided just to track it as total sales when I transfer it from PayPal to our bank account, right? Just the whole deposit's just income. It's good enough for me, right? But the point is, like, even for a teeny little e-commerce store with 2 transactions a month, it's a total mess. Like, I've made a mess of the accounting. And so hopefully a tool like Bookkeep could help clean this up for us.
And joining us from Bookkeep is Jason Richelson, CEO. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks, guys.
So David gave us, the challenge that we're facing with our little e-commerce side business here. Tell us about, Bookkeep and why you started it. What is it? What are you solving for accountants?
Yes. Well, we started as an accounting firm at Bookkeep, basically from my experience beforehand, where I had a company called ShopKeep. So ShopKeep was a POS system. It was sold to Lightspeed a couple years ago. And during my time at ShopKeep, I realized that we were, doing the front end stuff, making it so we could sell faster, sell better, like all the sales platforms. And even at ShopKeep, our reporting was not good for accountants. So I went ahead and built an accounting integration to QuickBooks myself, with not directly, but with the team. And we built a summary integration to QuickBooks that posted a proper Z report to QuickBooks Online, proper Z report, proper accounting, everything accounted for. And later, as one of the things that happened is Intuit eventually came in and asked ShopKeep to change it to a transaction-based. And as accountants, if you've ever done 2 or 3 transactions a day, if you have to start tracking that in your QuickBooks and then reconciling that to a single payment deposit, which, by the way, doesn't always match those transactions on those days. It'll match multiple transactions across multiple days. You realize what a mess gets created. There's probably 50 apps in the App Store right now that will sync transactions. Transactions are easy to sync. You map gross sales, you map discounts, you map the sales tax. It's easy to sync, but it creates a mess when it comes time to payment reconciliation. And I was just on a call with a potential client. They have it's over 100 million in revenue business. They are literally, I was told that they have a couple employees that every day click off every order, thousands, to match to the payment deposits across their channel of point of sale and e-commerce. And I was like, we can solve this for you. Like it's an additional step for us because it's a new situation for us, but we're already solving that though for a lot of other businesses right now, not only for posting proper revenue, but also payment reconciliation.
Got it.
So
okay, so
I know this problem very well from my experience, and we're trying to solve it.
Okay, got it. So the summary is that a lot of e-commerce apps, the way that they sync the transactions is one at a time. And then if you have a lot of transactions, I mean, even just a handful a day, like you said, matching that to the deposit that comes in QuickBooks becomes really unmanageable. And so you're solving that.
We're solving that. And so just to go back, engineering, all these apps that help you sell, they always give accounting a backseat. It's all everyone knows. You get a spreadsheet download, you should be happy, right? Or if there's an integration, it's order-based integration. Those orders do not tell you the full story, right? They don't put fees on the orders. They don't put adjustments on the orders. That all usually happens after the fact. So we're solving for the fact that a lot of software companies just don't want to help the accountants. So through our integrations, we convert order data into accounting data, right? As well as payout deposit data. So we're solving for that problem, but we're also solving for the problem, which is that so many accounting firms, as well as in-house CFO teams, they are just like, they cannot keep up. They cannot keep up. And the big reason is that everything's moved to net deposits. So it used to be in your POS, when I had a wine store, I used to have a wine store and a grocery store. My gross amounts of sales plus sales tax, equaled the credit, for the credit card portion would equal what I got deposited the next day. If the time zone was right, it usually would match. Right. Now everything's net of deposits. I'm sorry, net of fees. If you're using Shopify.
I want to make sure I understand that. That means that the credit card company or the merchant processor is taking out their fee from the gross amount before they send you the money. Yes. So it's not going to match up to the gross amount of all the orders.
It's never going to match. Exactly. It's never going to match up. And you would be surprised at how many really large firms don't even are doing basically posting deposits as revenue. Yeah. And those deposit entries in the bank account do not map to revenue in any way, shape, or form anymore. And it's getting even more complicated. One of the things that we're seeing, we're very, very strong with Square, with Shopify, with PayPal, with Stripe, with BigCommerce. We just launched in the BigCommerce App Store, but we've got a bunch of clients on BigCommerce. And what happens with a lot of these platforms is often they don't have the ability to properly report on adjustments or new features. So as an example, Shopify has Shop Cash. You can now, Shop Cash can be given to customers, or they have Shop Cash that they use to pay. Well, that ends up in your Shopify payout, but you would not know that unless you're using Bookkeep. And also Shopify has this thing where they'll take $50 or $20 or whatever if they send a merchant to your store through their Shop Cash portal. That comes out as an adjustment, and it doesn't say anything in any of their reporting.
Wow.
So you don't know what that $20 came out. And if you're not using Bookkeep, you just see a net deposit. You have no idea what's in it. It's getting more and more complicated with Shopify now with Global E, where you can ship cross-border. And here's an example that's just blows my mind. If you use their Global E tool for shipping cross-border, they will pay the duties, they'll do the shipping, they'll take care of everything. But if you choose a shipping provider that's not approved by Shopify, the duties, the shipping fees will get deposited, or the duties that they collected from the customer will get deposited into your bank account in that same payout with your payments, with your Shop Cash, and it'll just say adjustment. And if you're not using Bookkeep, you won't understand that this is duties that I have now obligated to pay to whatever country I just shipped to because I didn't use the right shipping platform. And as you can imagine, most accountants and bookkeepers are just trying to get stuff done every day. It's just so hard to go back and troubleshoot
So is this
that
a
and
safe statement to
understand.
make in 2024? If you have any clients that are getting deposits from any of the e-commerce sellers or shopping carts or Uber Eats or any of these types of services, they absolutely have incorrect bookkeeping. They're
Absolutely.
missing all the expenses and refunds and returns.
Mhm.
It's a complete. Their bookkeeping currently is incorrect if you just use the bank feed deposit.
Yeah, because you just get a net deposit, and the reporting's not great. And even if it was great reporting in their system, you're still gonna have to manually book that.
Okay,
Right?
so Bookkeep does this correctly. Take us in. Let's take a look at how this works.
Yep, you want to see. So right now we're looking at, so this is actually a live store. This is actually my wine store in California. And you can see here a list of the available apps that we work with. Very, very strong with e-commerce, of course. Shopify, we're strong. We've got PayPal, we have Amazon sellers, we're on Walmart, basically all your big e-commerce providers. And we have a bunch of other payment processors. We actually also are pretty strong with cannabis POS systems as well. We've actually made a switch in the last couple months to really just focus on the e-commerce, the cannabis, and essentially the leading POS and payment providers that are moving really, really fast. So you have the ability to connect your apps, pop up OAuth Connect, just like you would do in QuickBooks App Store. We now also work with, here you can see I'm using Xero. We work with Xero, Zoho Books, QuickBooks Online, and now we have NetSuite and Sage Intacct. We just added those recently, and we have clients just getting up and running on those. So we work with all of those providers. So what happens is you connect your accounting system, you connect whatever apps from our available apps, and here is Square connected from my wine store. And we basically have a very simple, if you're onboarding, we have a very simple mapping view that pulls in your chart of accounts. We now have the ability to map to, you can either map to a category, or you can actually map to an item. If you have a small amount of items, some people want to just map income accounts to items. It depends. But we have the detail in here for your revenue posting. And actually, let me just go back. We post summary sales information on a daily basis, on an accrual basis, when it was either transacted, generally is normally how people do it, or when it was fulfilled for Shopify. We have the ability to post entries when it was fulfilled. So this would be your summary entry. Your payout deposit entry comes later. And that one can be mapped here. And basically you can see, sorry, did I click on the wrong one? Hold on. The payout deposit is here. And let's see, there's just so many things. Square is so complex. Actually, we're the only provider that actually pulls out the loan payment. If you're getting a Square loan, and
they
Square's
take that out of your deposits?
Yeah, they take it out of your deposits, the different amount every day, and we can capture that for you and book it as principal, because Square's loans tend to be, your interest is paid up front and then the principal is paid back. And we're the only ones that can pull that out. And actually, Square currently is set up that the accountant cannot see the loan reporting, only the owner can see the loan reporting. So it's really a big help to a lot of accountants in the Square world. There's a lot of other deposits withheld. There's a bunch of fees, pre-processing. A lot of stuff goes into their adjustments. So this is just the setup of the template. And then I'll show you.
Conceptually, just pause right here. You treat the daily sales summary as one thing, and the deposit is something entirely separate. Yes, they're related, but they're not the same thing.
They're not the same thing. And the reason we do that, and we have there's 50 competitors in the App Store, and they sync orders. And if they sync orders, the orders will probably get booked when the orders were created, but you're going to have trouble reconciling those to payments. And often syncing orders just can get really messy, and especially when you're trying to reconcile the payments. We summarize the sales. We basically are a sub ledger, right? All the orders come into our platform. We summarize them properly based on the accrual, based on when you sold them. And this is what a summary looks like. This is my wine store from yesterday. This will exactly match Square's reporting. We go down to the sales tax level. There's different, depending on your store, you might have different drop downs, different other stuff comes in here. But this gets posted every day because you want your accounting platform to match your sales platform, right?
Yep.
And if you're booking deposits as income, well, first of all, they're 2 or 3 days later. If you're using Amazon Seller, they're 2 weeks later. If you're using Amazon Seller, your Christmas sales are going to hit in January. So you can't do that, right? You can't. A lot of people do. because they're just overwhelmed or they don't have access. But yeah, we book your sales summary and then your payout deposits. Actually, this store, because this store I enabled Square Card, so the payout deposits actually are in this system, and they're just net transfers. But we book basically we book the fees out in this deposit entry, which is basically daily fees. So our system is very flexible, so we can handle a lot of the different situations with these platforms. It's not custom code. It's just you have the flexibility to do things differently in our platform, and depending on, but generally it's the same stuff, right? You have gross revenue, and then you generally have most of your fees and adjustments are taken out of your payout deposits. So we're very strong in doing that.
So this is like exactly like the process that I set up for my e-commerce clients years ago, where I had a daily task for the staff accountant on the client to go in and pull reports from each of the e-commerce platforms and then make a journal entry. And that's what you're doing here. You're automating that whole process.
And it's funny, when I started this, it's been 6 years that we started writing the software. When we were an accounting firm, we had about 50 clients, or I would say we were a bookkeeping firm, not accounting. We had 50 clients and we started writing the software. And I was like, people can do it manually. They do it manually. I'm actually surprised 6 years later, like they just can't find people to do this. A lot of accounting firms we talk to, a lot of CFOs are just like, I can't hire someone that understands this or wants to even do this.
It's bookkeeping work, but it's a little tricky. It's not just coding in a bank register. This takes reading complex reports that often are not designed by accountants and somehow translating that into a journal entry with debits and credits.
Exactly.
And that's bookkeeping that takes deep accounting knowledge to do right.
It does, and generally, a lot of times when you hire a bookkeeper as a small business, they don't have that knowledge, and it is tedious to do. And when something weird happens or things don't match up, then you end up spending hours trying to troubleshoot it, and that's actually one of the features that we offer. So all the data that we post to your accounting platform, we actually also post spreadsheets with all the backup data. So there's an attachment in QuickBooks Online. For Square, it looks like it's 4 attachments. For Shopify, we get it all into one. All the orders, all the payment transactions. So because we're kind of doing this together with accounting firms, with CFOs, right? When they see, hey guys, something's not balancing, something's off, and I think it's this order, because I'm giving you all the details so that you could troubleshoot it in your QuickBooks, we end up working together. Hey, oh yeah, there's a new transaction type that Shopify just put into adjustments. We've never seen that before. We're going to update our code, and we'll tell you when it's ready to rerun that entry. So it is kind of, we do work very closely with our accountants and CFOs to really make this better, to capture, hey, here's a new situation with cross-border that we've never seen before, and we get it into the code. So it's really a two-way, bi-directional process.
Well, that's incredible. So you take these CSVs that come from Square that I would normally have to manually
generated by us, but it has all the backup data.
Okay, so you are generating a report with all the transaction data that matches to this summary, the journal entry, and you're attaching it to the journal entry in the accounting system?
Yes.
Wow,
and
that's great.
One of the things I should be showing you is I have to log into Xero, but our entries are all journal entries. And because I was an accountant and I did my books in my grocery store and wine store for so many years, we are very careful to make sure that the description lines give you enough information to understand what each number is, because I know that you're looking at different things in different reports, and you want the memo to show this, but you want the description to explain the time period that this payout is from. So we really utilize all the proper fields in your accounting platform to make sure that you don't have to come into Bookkeep. And a lot of our customers don't. Once they set it up, it just runs. I mean, this is my wife's store. She never logs into Bookkeep. She never does. She knows at the end of the month, her revenue is going to be perfect. All of her payouts are going to match, and she doesn't even think about it.
That's awesome.
And a lot of businesses are like that. The more complex ones, we might run into issues where we have to, troubleshoot stuff. But that was my point, is our team, this is all we do. We understand every transaction type across all of these really heavy volume platforms. And you can use this as a resource. Hey, what's going on here? Why is, Shopify Markets Pro is one of those things where I don't know if you can see this screenshot, but it can get really complex in terms of the adjustments. So like this is a Shopify report of your payout. You see this line that says adjustments. That's all you get. That's all Shopify gives you, adjustments. Within our system, you can see, and it's really hard to see in this screenshot, it's shipping label adjustment. I don't really know what that is, but that's, we're able to pull, we go deeper, pull out. Sometimes, honestly, with Shopify, we have to parse some text because they don't have APIs to give us this information. But we are able to, figure it out and give you the details. So like duties and import taxes are up here, and it's in your fees reduction here. Now, so remember that example I was telling you, customs duty. So this is coming out of your payout deposit to be paid to somewhere else. Yeah. So that's what's coming up here in the fees reduction, but you're understanding what the difference is. So you can either book fees as fees, or you can actually map each one of these lines.
Amazing.
So for your wine shop, you just have only Square. That's it. Now, are most Bookkeep customers or most small businesses, it's something stuck with me. I heard it at a conference before. I think it was one of the guys from Shark Tank. It was Kevin. Is it Kevin O'Leary? Is that his name, Blake? And he said every business is an everything business now. And to where are most people on? Well, yeah, they got a point of sale system and they got 3 e-commerce stores. Like, where's the sweet spot? Or do you have? Maybe the other question is, can you do multiple connections? Maybe.
Absolutely. So everything is e-commerce now. And we just talked to a potential client this morning. I was on a call. They're using Retail Pro for tickets. They're using Square for their bar. They're using a different e-commerce provider to sell stuff online, which I didn't catch which one it was. It might be custom. And that is all the time. So if you're selling on Shopify, you're most likely also on Amazon Seller. And we handle Amazon Seller very well. In fact, Amazon Seller, we actually post your dailies, whereas Amazon only pays you out every 2 weeks. We actually post daily revenue. So you know how you're doing, and we match it to payout deposits. We have others that have started in this space started with those payout deposit and they back into the revenue, but those numbers don't come until later, and that doesn't exactly work to get you dailies so you can compare. So you're going to be on Amazon Seller, you're going to be using PayPal for sure with Shopify. Now, where other complexity comes in now, did you know that if you're on Shopify, you can easily flip a switch and start selling on Facebook, Instagram? When you sell on Facebook, Instagram, Shopify actually will show all the reporting. Here's your Facebook sales, $1,000 in sales, $100 in sales tax. Guess what? That $100 in sales tax does not go into your bank account because Facebook's paying it. It's not in the reporting in Shopify, although they now have a new report that you can run to see that. But if you didn't know that, you would be like, wait, why didn't I get my sales tax? Well, Facebook's paying it. And that's the thing that's happening. Shopify moves very fast. Square also, they're giving a lot of great tools. TikTok's as well is coming now also on Shopify. They're giving great tools to help you sell, but it's very hard to figure out what's the financial impact of some of these transactions. And so that all with us, it's sales tax collected, sales tax withheld, Facebook, sales tax withheld, TikTok, whatever it is, you'll see that in our platform. So you can book that as, a tax, tax that you have to report, but you don't have to pay.
All right. So what else should we see in Bookkeep?
Those are the big things, but one thing I want to talk about, is sales tax. So there's nothing really to see here on the screen, but we are partnered with Avalara now. And so we actually, if you are on the right plan with us, if you're on our plus plan or higher, you are activated for Avalara managed returns through Bookkeep. So what that means is if you opt into our program, we will file and pay your sales tax for you. And we do it through Avalara. We have all your data. We know everything about where you're selling, how much you're selling, everything, because you're connected to us and we're booking it already to your accounting platform. So we can take that same data and we can file and pay your sales tax for you. And I'll tell you, when I talk to CFOs of e-commerce businesses and I say, we can also pay your sales tax, they're like, really? Nobody wants to pay their sales tax. There's no value in understanding the complexities of Colorado You have to file separately in certain cities versus the state. In Idaho, there's one city where you have to file separately from the state. In Chicago, you have to pay an entertainment tax if any of your items are entertainment, value or entertainment type sales. Nobody wants to learn that stuff inside these e-commerce businesses. And granted, we work closely with Avalara, so we learn this from them, but we're working with a great platform, and we have a direct pipe into them through Bookkeep. So once you're on Bookkeep, you just can work with us, and we can handle not only your revenue reporting, your payment reconciliation, but also your sales tax reporting and filing.
That's incredible. Across all of your channels.
Across all your channels. Right now, Shopify, Square, and Amazon handles it for you, and we're going to start adding more. We'll get BigCommerce in there soon, and some other platforms. But really right now, it's mostly Shopify. That's where the real complexity is, those e-commerce sellers selling in multiple states. Mm-hmm. And that's another place where you find that Shopify makes it so easy, but it's really hard to understand what is happening with my sales tax in Shopify. And we can help consult with that too. We can explain what's going on there.
So what I'm getting with Bookkeep, I'm not just getting the transaction syncing stuff. I'm getting this level of expertise. You're watching all of these e-commerce companies like a hawk. Oh, they changed this, or they're doing this now with Facebook. Yep. These sales tax rules changed, payment reconciliation or revenue rules changed. You're really actually watching all that. And so even me as a CEO, my controller doesn't have to keep track of all of these laws and rules changes and games that some of these e-commerce players play. Yeah,
I don't think of us as an app. I think of us as it's a slice of your accounting team that does the revenue and sales tax reporting, and it's delivered through the software. I mean, we don't do any of it manually. It's all delivered through the software, but we're there for setup. Hey, I have a new payment method. I don't know how to map it. We can show you. We can, hey, this account in our QuickBooks doesn't seem like it's balancing. We actually have tools. We'll scan it. We'll say, hey, yeah, you shouldn't have there's a transaction in that account that doesn't belong. Those should only be the transactions from Bookkeep. And so we do really help accounting teams get up to speed, or we really augment them when they just don't have the capabilities or the bandwidth to deal with the complexities.
And then questions on reporting. Do you do like the 13-week reports that like are popular with restaurants and retail, those types of reports?
Well, we don't do any specific reporting. There is a simple report here of revenue, and which is actually here. It's just for one location. But if you were, a lot of our customers actually have multiple Shopify stores, and we actually can roll up your reporting across your Shopify stores, in this screen. But we're not a reporting tool. We really book it into your accounting system, and then you can use your accounting system for the reporting. But we will do dailies. So everything we do is dailies. So if your accounting system can produce that report that you need based on days, then we will basically be able to facilitate that. In fact, we have accounting firms that have built dashboards using Reach reporting or other tools, because they know that our numbers are going to hit every night. And so their clients can look at the dashboards that come off of QuickBooks because our numbers hit every night. So the dashboards are updated the next day.
What's next on the roadmap for Bookkeep?
So we're staying really strong in e-commerce. We realize that the place where for us and where we're just really experts is the Shopify, the Amazon seller, the PayPal, really getting deep into proper accrual accounting for these larger Shopify and e-commerce businesses. So we're going to stay in that space. We're going to be eventually adding Fair as a app on our platform that's pretty strong with Shopify sellers, as well as probably TikTok. A lot of times TikTok does come through Shopify, but any apps that are in that space, we're going to stay strong in. And the sales tax functionality is really a big focus for us. And really, but we want to stay around this area. We really, there's not a lot of expertise in-house that understand this particular part of accounting. Often you're paying bills, doing all the stuff. When it comes time to book the revenue, it's the end of the month, and I forget, what report do I need to run? Why doesn't this match? Oh no, I have to leave now. So we're a slice of your accounting team, really specialized expertise, and that's where we're focused.
So Bookkeep can save quite a lot of time for a company that's doing a lot of e-commerce. You mentioned earlier that one of your customers had multiple people whose only job was to reconcile these transactions to deposits, and I take it you have saved them a ton of time.
Oh yeah.
How does Bookkeep charge? Like, what's the pricing model?
So actually, that's a great question, because we have two pricing models. So if you're an accounting firm, we have really, really great bundle pricing for accounting firms that can bring the cost of Bookkeep down significantly if it fits with your firm. So we work with a lot of accounting firms. We have in the past had discounts for a lot of these firms. What ends up happening is they might have one client on Square, one on Shopify, and they don't really specialize. But we end up finding these accounting firms that find us, and they just blow up. They just use us for all their clients. So if you're an accounting firm and you're really specialized, whether in e-commerce or retail, we have some really great pricing in bundle format. For a direct business, if you're $1.5 million in revenue and have a Square connection, or say a Shopify and a PayPal connection, it's $60 a month. Over that, it goes up to $160. If you're over $1.5 million in revenue, or you have more channels, it's $160 a month, and that also includes the sales tax foundation. You still have to pay for each filing, but you get the sales tax feature in that $160 plan. And then if you go over 5 million in revenue, it goes up to $320, I believe. And then we do have pricing. If you're over 10 million in revenue, we do have an enterprise plan where we really can get in there and help you. That's for NetSuite, for Sage Intacct customers. And so we base it on the complexity of your business, because there's going to be more mappings, there's going to be more questions, there might be more more channels that cause more complexity for us. So usually that comes with the revenue or the sales channel growth. But not on the transaction level, because you might be a coffee shop doing 1,000 transactions a day. I shouldn't be charging you on the transactions.
How long does it take to get set up on Bookkeep?
It can take a few minutes if you know the mappings that you want in your accounting system. It's just like adding an app. You connect either within Bookkeep, you connect QuickBooks or Xero. You connect all your apps and you do your mappings. We're going to run some entries so you can see the entries, so you can map against your existing data that you recognize, and then you can start posting entries based on the date you want. We can usually get you up and running in an hour with explaining the system. Sometimes we have to get into explaining accrual revenue and why we post summary entries and payouts, why your payouts don't match. Usually those onboarding calls end up discussing, Shopify cuts off at 7 p.m. because it's midnight GMT, depending on your time zone in the US. So you're never going to have a batch that matches your day unless your day ends at 7 p.m. So explaining those things, is part of the onboarding, but it's pretty quick. And there's no fees to sign up. I mean, there's no onboarding costs.
So you onboard me, it's set up, and now 3 months later, Shopify changes some policy or procedure or something. Do you proactively reach out to the clients and be like, hey, this changed, or does it just magically change and I just keep rolling?
Generally, where you saw these in our entries, generally the changes result in new lines in underneath certain, we would roll it up. So where, maybe you'd see adjustment. I don't have it here as an example, but maybe this was your adjustment line. Maybe we didn't capture what the adjustment was, and we have to go update our code to do that. But generally it will show up it'll still end up posting, but maybe with not with the detail. And we'll have to update our code, and then you can rerun the entries. Generally, it's not proactive, because Shopify or Square tell us anything ahead of time, and they don't tell the accountants anything ahead of time. And especially when it comes to, there's actually, there's still some gaps in which we're trying to get rectified, but Square just rolled out house accounts. House accounts, we don't get all the data in order to, when you pay down your house account, we can't properly book it right now. And they're well aware of it. We told them how to fix it. But if you're using house accounts, it's not very well, it's not in their API.
But you are aware of it, and you are tracking those amounts. And so when Square gets back to you and fixes it,
yes, we'll fix it.
Everyone can go and resync the journals.
Exactly. Yeah. I wish it was, Nothing is ever perfect, but that's why we're here to sort of figure those things out and catch them. Sometimes our customers catch them. They catch these things and they explain to us, they might know what it is, and we weren't setting it up right. If it's a new feature.
We've been talking a lot about e-commerce. I don't think we mentioned the other industries that you serve. So for my firm, what kind of clients would be good for Bookkeep?
So we're very strong with Square. So obviously that's retail, restaurant, Toast as well, and that's restaurant, and cannabis POS, which is there's people specialize usually in cannabis. We tend to work with a lot of the cannabis POS providers, and by the way, we do have an API. So we do have some POS providers that have opted not to directly integrate with QuickBooks and integrate to us. And so that's pretty exciting, actually. That's probably what's on our roadmap is people are realizing that I don't understand accounting. I don't want to build this. If I can just get the summary data to Bookkeep, they'll build the mapping screens. We have the mapping screens. Like, you just have to get us the summary data, and then we can line it up with our code, and then the customer can map and adjust as needed. So that's really where we're going. It's really retail e-commerce. We do also work with Stripe. We do not do yet. We don't do revenue recognition on subscriptions yet. I do think that will be coming in sometime maybe next year. But yeah, it's mostly retail, e-commerce, and restaurant. And for coffee, I see someone asked a question about coffee. Most coffee shops are using Square. And we're really strong with Square. So there's other coffee shop companies. Actually, the one that is working with is called Joe.coffee. It's a POS specifically for coffee shops. And they're one of the ones that are integrating to our API. And that's really exciting for us because we really want to be known as essentially this accounting gateway so that, anyone who wants to build the QuickBooks, great. But there's also Xero, there's Zoho, I've got a client with 10 locations on Sage. You're not going to build all that. You're not going to build those mapping screens. I mean, that's really the original problem that we're solving, is like nobody wants to build those screens and keep them working for those accountants.
Right. And you are the subledger that ties everything all together.
Exactly. Yeah, it's becoming, it's especially also with e-commerce and multiple channels, as we've talked about. It's, I wish we could do better in restaurant. Right now, it's really hard. We cannot get the fees from Uber Eats, the fees from DoorDash. That data is just not available. So we can't do a really good job there. They won't share that data, at least not with us. It's really difficult to do those apps, but it's the same functionality. It's very similar. There's no difference between selling on Shopify but using PayPal, or selling on Shopify when it actually went through Facebook or TikTok, but it's coming through your Shopify store. It's the same as having DoorDash come into your Square point of sale or Uber Eats. It's the same situation where often, as I said, sometimes Shopify doesn't know what fees are being charged by Facebook, but generally they do, actually, in this situation. But often the POS doesn't know what fees are being charged by Uber Eats, and neither do we, because we can't even get it from Uber Eats. So
it sounds like we need to get some accounting associations, maybe some state associations or the AICPA to lobby these tech companies to actually give us proper accounting reports so that we can do our jobs.
I actually thought about that when I started this and tried to start the Accounting Automation Standards Alliance, and that didn't go very well.
What happened with that?
It was too hard for me to figure out and get people together.
I love that, though, the Accounting Automation Standards Alliance.
Yeah, I did. I started it. I actually just shut down the nonprofit, but it was just too hard doing that. And this, it definitely needs to happen, but it's a really hard slog because most of they learn as they get into bigger. Some, Toast, the Shopify's, the Squares. Once they get into larger clients, the clients demand better accounting integration. And that's when they're like, yeah, we don't have it and we need to do something about it. But often smaller systems, big commerce, they don't always have that for the smaller businesses, and they're not going to lose sales because of it. The accountants don't buy the software.
Right. The accountants don't buy the software. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think at one time we interviewed an engineer who was on the accounting team at Amazon.
Mhm.
So Amazon was building their own versions of this in-house, but then they don't offer it to the sellers, right?
Yeah. The Amazon reporting is so difficult. I mean, their APIs are so difficult too. They're very wonky as well. They sometimes deliver, you request something and they don't give it to you. You request it a second time and it does deliver to you. We actually literally request it 4 or 5 times, and then the next day, just to make sure that it didn't come. And it's tough to deal with all those. But I mean, that's basically what we're doing for these clients.
Jason, anything else we should know before we go?
Well, I mean, I think if you're working with clients or you're a CFO and you're using any of these platforms, we can definitely help save man hours, if not entire employee worth of time. And we're not a replacement. I think we're augment. We're going to help that accountant, that bookkeeper in-house understand the complexity here. You always have that chat bubble to talk to us, to ask us questions, and we're there to help you understand the data coming through as well. So we're there for that. And that is really where accounting's going. I mean, it's data flows and proper categorization of data flows and people who understand how to set up the systems to manage those data flows. That's really where we're going.
Head over to bookkeep.com to learn more and sign up for the Accounting Partner Program. And stay tuned for a quick message about how to earn continuing professional education credit for watching today. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, guys.
Today's event has ended. To earn CPE, go to earmark.app or scan the QR code on the screen. Then log in or create your free account. Search for the course by tapping on the magnifying glass icon on the home screen and then entering the name of this event. It takes a few days to make the course, so if you're attending this event live, keep an eye out for an email letting you know when the course is available. Pass the quiz to earn your CPE, then tap the button to email yourself a certificate. Stay tuned for more events from Earmark. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.